Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen, nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. All right. So, let me share with you a little link for us for our work today. Please open up this link right here. I'll take you to a little workspace where we can share together today. On this workspace, what I'm going to ask is, for some parts of this, we'll be completing it together as we go along. And so when that's the case, when there's a certain part that we're all working on together, then your task is just going to be, should be able to see my screen, to leave a comment on that particular question or that particular prompt. So I'll give you a quick tour of this. But let's say we're working on this first prompt here. If I stay clean for 12 months, I will feel. Then your task is just to click on the comment icon. You should see a place here where you can leave a comment. And I think that this should work as well, pretty okay on a mobile device if that's what you're working on. And then a place for you to add a comment. And so when you get your comment ready for that, what I'll ask is don't click enter and post until I say so. So we'll give some time. I'll let you know about how much time is left, and then we'll enter and post all once we've all gotten a chance to get ready. That way, everybody will get to enjoy that quiet space, that white space, before we kind of get to explore what other people felt and what other people shared. So that being said, a quick tour of what we have here. This is a workspace for us to work on to use the sober year plan as a guide for our incredible triumph and success that's going to come up this upcoming year. 12 months from now is going to be the day, May 29th, 2022. And that's going to be Shawwal 17th, the year 1443. Today's Saturday, but that's going to be a Sunday, 12 months from now. When you are thinking about, especially this first portion here, your vision, when you're thinking, when you are putting into words, using language to describe your reality 12 months from now, and how it depends and how it hinges upon what we do today, and how it hinges upon and depends the small choices that you make in the days and weeks and months to come. Keep that date in mind. May 29, 2022, Shawwal 17, that's going to be a Sunday. Because your work today is you're shaping how that day is going to look. Your work today, you are envisioning and creating and crafting how that day is going to look. And that's going to start by picturing that day and picturing how that day will look very different depending on what happens between now and then. The other item that you see here is the Sober Year Plan Guide. It's the actual PDF that contains all of these prompts along with some instructions, but I will be your guide, inshallah, for today. So having that open is optional, but it is there linked so you can access that. But to start us off, we're going to practice using language. Stephen Covey, who writes about the 7 habits of highly effective people, he says that there's always 2 creations of any experience that we have in life. He says that there's the mental creation and then the physical creation. And the mental creation is what we envision. And the physical creation is when we actually get to experience it. When we actually get to experience it. We have somebody who just hopped on with us. Awesome. I'll wait till he connects to audio. All right, looks like he's connected to audio. Ahlan Anas, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ahlan, ahlan. Where are you tuning in from today?
I am tuning in from Michigan in the United States.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Welcome. So great to have you today. Alhamdulillah. You're here with some wonderful other brothers as well. So if I stay clean for 12 months, here's the deal about setting your vision. Here's the deal about envisioning that day 12 months from now. What we're going to do differently today is that we're going to make a very clear distinction. We're going to make a very clear distinction between the let's put it this way. Between our desire to change, our desire to experience complete freedom, and between the reality of what will happen based on our decision. So right now, you're not so much talking about your desire to change. You're not so much talking about what you want 12 months from now to look like. You're not so much talking about what would be nice 12 months from now. Right now, super simple. If I stay clean for 12 months, if there's not a single day that I choose to indulge, and it's important to clarify what it is that you're abstaining from. But for most of us here, right now, we're choosing to abstain from acting out sexually. Okay? Now, if that's something that you've already achieved for a period of 12 months, then you might change that. You might change for you staying clean is abstaining from something else in your life. After all, we're all going to continue to engage in the struggle until the day we leave this life. And that's the example of our scholars. That's the example of our ancestors and our teachers. They were engaged in the struggle until the very end, right? But for most of us, staying clean for 12 months means if I don't act out sexually for a single time for 12 months, how is that going to feel? That day, May 29th, 2022. After that, actually, we'll just pause there for a moment, and we'll start with that part right there. And I want to give you a clear picture of what will make this powerful for you, what will make this impactful for you, is describing this in a way that once you read what you wrote, exactly, you don't have any doubts that that's actually how it's going to feel. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, I mean, hasn't it already happened before that you felt a certain way as a result of the things that are part of your life right now, the way that we're leading our life right now, the way that our days are going, the way that our weeks are going? Don't we already know what it feels like? Don't we already know what that feels like, right? And so on one hand, that's going to be one of the steps, is what it's going to feel like 12 months from now when that continues. But then what is it going to feel like if that's completely changed and shifted? I noticed some things in the chat box. Let's see what's going on. Okay, cool. How to ask questions, Abdullah? Just ask them in the chat box. Get on the mic. Just ask them. Inshallah. But I'm trying to make this as clear as possible for you. So to give an example, one brother that this really came home for, right? What are the things that serve as a line, as a boundary for us to tell us, okay, now's the time for me to change my life and buckle down? What we're doing today, guys, is we're taking that plane, that desire to experience change, and we're taking off. Right? Be ready today to take off. But what does that look like? What does it take for that to happen? Sometimes we look for things, opportunities, Ramadan, Hajj, different things. Sometimes we wait until we experience so much pain, and that tells us that it's time to change. But it really can be just the small. It can be just the small things that can serve for us, that we choose to make that the point where we're going to draw the line. We choose where we're going to draw the line. We choose when we're going to draw the line. And for one brother that went through an exercise like this, he was just tired of having somebody ask him, "Hey, how come you're not? Aren't you looking to get married? I have some people that are interested," and things like that. He was tired of the experience of having somebody ask him that, and then in the back of his mind saying, "Yeah, I'm not ready right now, but hopefully someday." Hopefully someday. And how many of us have had to have a thought, just a small little passing thought like that we know is there and present because of the choices that we're making in life, the choice that we're making. So when this individual was engaged in this process, he set a date that was 12 months from now, even 2 years from now. In his case, we'll just say 12 months for ourselves. He set a date 2 years from now, and he envisioned, he drew a picture of what that day is going to look like if he was actually successful for those 2 years. If he was actually successful, and he pictured it. And he pictured what it would look like to actually be engaged in the process of seeking a spouse confidently, knowing that he's not going into something that he's not ready for, right? What would the day of the kitab look like? What would the day of the wedding look like? He drew a detailed, vivid picture. And the thing is, when he did that, he knew that this is actually the way that things would look. But aside from just the spouse prospect, he knew what it would look like and feel like to be giving to his family and generous to his family. He knew what it would look like and feel like to go about his work without a constant cloud and fog hovering above his head, right? And he knew that, yeah, like if I'm clean for a year, that's how things are actually going to look. So we'll start out in the left column here. If I stay clean for 12 months, with how I will feel. Try your best not to just say I will feel, fill in the blank with one word, right? But finish that sentence. I will feel, and here, if you want a structure for it, I will feel blank. I'll type it in the chat box. But then why? I will feel blank because what? What's different that's causing you to feel that way? I will feel at peace because I will feel strong because I will feel absolutely elated because I will feel humbled because. Make that a sentence, and then what comes at what else? I will feel strong because I've achieved something I've never achieved before. What else? I will feel at peace because such and such. So now's our time. We'll start with our first opportunity, our first prompt here. Go ahead and open that so you can leave a comment, and don't post once again until I let you know this white space is precious. This white space is valuable. This white space we're sharing together. We're sharing together, right? So inshallah, honor the white space that you have and that we are sharing together here with others. Anas, I didn't give you the link to the Padlet, so I can give that to you. Beautiful. And then we can get our responses ready by clicking on the first prompt. The comment box shows up. Type it. I'll let you know when you have a minute left, and then I'll let you know when to post. I'm going to zip my mouth. I'm going to let you get started, inshallah. Go ahead. If I stay clean for 12 months, I will feel. So I take it you didn't see what you see on my screen? Just wanted to clarify, Mas, if you mean that you didn't see what you see on my screen. If that's the case, if you're having, oh, okay, got it. Yeah, so the first prompt is where it says, if I stay clean for 12 months, I will feel. And then clicking on the comment icon in the bottom right corner would open up the comment section panel that you see on the right there. We do have one comment that came in already. And Mas or anybody, if figuring out the Padlet is giving you a hard time, don't make that an obstacle. Type it in the chat box here, and then we'll just have it copied over, inshallah. Inshallah. So let me put a minute on the clock for this one. Kind of our first little prompt here. So take our time with this. I did notice your comment there, Sync. If you are able to put that in the Padlet, it'll be saved for you. But again, if that's giving us trouble, here in the chat box is fine. And I'll have it copied over. Okay, great, Mouse got it. 20 seconds. Okay, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit enter on the Padlet to post your response. And if you put it in the chat box, hit enter there. Language. This exercise, and I'm perfectly fine with us spending a bulk of our time just on this first part. Language is a tool that we have access to that is so powerful, and maybe for a lot of people, not fully utilized. Not fully utilized. Engaging in this should be a process that has our mind firing. Engaging in this for some of us means we're actually talking out loud, like talking out. For some of us, writing is more helpful. But if you're writing and it's not flowing, then talk out loud through this. How will I feel? How will I feel genuinely and honestly? So I noticed two of the responses that came in there. And then we also have Zirian here. Ahlan Zirian. So two of the responses that came in there are that I will feel like I have achieved something meaningful in my life because I will be able to be my best self, be able to work for Allah better and give a lot to my family without feeling exhausted. We exhaust ourselves. We exhaust ourselves. When we indulge, we exhaust ourselves. And what is the price? What is the cost of that exhaustion? What is the opportunity cost that we're missing out on? What is the opportunity cost that other people are missing out on? That's what we're uncovering in this with this very first prompt. And the next one, we thought about how we feel. What will I be able to do? What will I be able to do? If I stay clean for 12 months, I will be able to fill in the blank. Then why? I will be able to give more to my family. Why? What changed? What will you be able to give to your family? I will be able to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better. How? What's that going to look like? What's it going to feel like? What are you going to be able to do differently than what you're doing right now? So let's give ourselves time for the second prompt. I'll let you know when there's a minute left. Get it ready now in the next comment box, and I'll let you know when to post. Let's go for one more minute. All right, if you haven't posted, go ahead and post. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and just give us a chance to reflect on this, because using our language can do so much for us, and neglecting that tool that we have leaves so much that we haven't, so much to lose. So I want you to take a moment and look at the response that you came up with, and let's kind of clear your mind, clear your heart, take a deep breath, read it slowly, and then just observe your heart and answer this question: does that penetrate my heart? Go ahead. Okay. If you answered yes, that penetrated my heart, then pause. Well, actually, if you answered yes, that penetrated my heart, then you have something that you can come back to every day to penetrate your heart all over again, to bring life to your heart, and you will have what you need to continue treading this path for the rest of the year. If you answered no, that didn't penetrate my heart, then I love you, but that is, then what you have thus far is wishful thinking. What you have thus far is wishful thinking, and it's not going to happen. Say that again. If you have something that penetrated your heart, then you have something you can follow up on, and you can see this actually come to fruition in your life. If you answered no, that didn't penetrate my heart, then what it is wishful thinking. And if that's where I'm at right now, then I know what I need to spend more time on. If right now what I'm coming up with is not really meaningful to me, it's not really penetrating me in a meaningful level, it could be for many different reasons. It could be right now my heart's not present. It could be my mind is not present. It could be, you know, that now's a really difficult time in my life. It could be that I'm driving right now and I shouldn't be, you know, shouldn't be writing anything down. It could be for different reasons, but just know that you don't have what you need yet. And you can expect that 12 months from now, you are where you are today, because that's what we're here for today. We're here to set the record straight, be really clear and honest with ourselves that, look, you know, it's not without judgment, but just be honest with ourselves about what we're signing up for, All right. I'm going to go ahead and set the next 2 minutes. The next 2 minutes, you have two options. Option number one is you answer the prompt: if I stay clean for 12 months, those around me will. And you engage in that with a heart fully present. If instead you choose to revisit one of the ones that you already worked on, to include some imagery in your language, to include some details that you haven't included, or even just to pause and close your mind. And if you're having trouble putting it to words, bring it to your mind. Or, we're all muted here, talk about it. I'm not so concerned as seeing it written down as knowing that you have something that penetrates your heart. So for those 2 minutes, it's your option. We'll work on the next prompt or revisit one of the previous prompts if you said that didn't quite click for me. If it didn't click, it's never gonna click. Just being honest here. If it didn't click now, it's never gonna click. You're gonna read it, you're gonna ignore it, right? It's not gonna do anything for you. Just being perfectly honest. It's good that you started, but it has to click. Next 2 minutes, go ahead. by the way, if you like what somebody else wrote and you feel like that penetrates your heart, inshallah, you can borrow it as well. But incorporate it into something that is fully meaningful for you.
Sorry, which I was supposed to answer the if I stay clean. Those around the wheel fill. Those around the wheel.
Yes, that's the one we're on, unless anybody wanted to go back and revisit any of the previous ones, but that's the one we're currently on.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You bet. Let's take 30 more seconds and then I'll ask those of you that are ready to post. Ten seconds. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Beautiful, Fulan. Beautiful. Beautiful, Fulan. SubhanAllah. I can totally relate. If you haven't already, read what Fulan mentioned in the chat box there. Which is one, what if nothing is feeling like penetrating? Then we just then I just reiterate two things. Number one is that the clarity of this vision is a prerequisite. Is a prerequisite to change. Engaging in the process of change, knowing where we're going. We have to know where we're going. We have to know where we're going with clarity, with absolute clarity. What's beautiful and what's amazing is that the one who's getting us there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our making a vision is a dua. But if we don't have a clear vision, we're not even engaging the process of a strong dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A strong calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's gonna be, he was with us every moment. He's the one that's gonna take us forward. He's the one that's gonna take us forward. We're engaging in this. Our engaging in this is an effort, seeking His fadl, seeking His grace. And this is the process. You know, if you look through literature and work on personal development and change, this is the process of undergoing it. You know, it doesn't come for free. It doesn't come for free, but it does come. It does come. Bi-idhnillah ta'ala. So it feels like nothing is penetrating, then it's worth continuing until we find that, striving until we find it, looking for it. Maybe I don't feel it today, but as I'm walking around, I'm like, sheesh, I don't know what my vision is. I'm going to keep looking for it. Come back to these questions. Come back to these questions. And what if it's not centered? What if it's not centered? That's such a beautiful question as well. You know, and I think I can relate to that. Maybe others can relate to that as well. Like, sheesh, I'm making my obsession that I want to be a good father or a good husband, right? I should have my obsession to be a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And maybe some of us feel that way. Maybe some of us feel guilty putting something other than I want to be the best slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I can be, right? I don't know if you feel, you know, anybody can relate to that. I feel guilty putting something else on there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So, you know, here's what I'll do. First thing I will ask, you know, I will share with you rest assured, and I will share also why. And I will share also why. The first thing I will share with you rest assured is because all you're engaging in here is coming to face with reality. All we're engaging in here is we want to see reality more honestly, more clearly. We want to remove the veils of reality, right? And sometimes the reality that's most tangible and most directly accessible to us is the reality that I am messing up my kid, that I am being harsh to my wife, that I am being, you know, that my parents, I'm rolling my eyes at them. Sometimes the most accessible reality is how we relate to other people. And there's something to be said about the people that we think about, and that thought of them motivates us. And that thought of our role in their life motivates us. There's something to be said about that. There's a great power in that. There's a great power in that. So number one, we're just connecting with reality. And whatever reality that I can access, don't let go of that. Don't let go of that. That reality in and of itself is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He's allowing you to access it. That He's allowing you to access it. And number two, I'm going to write down on this, you know, I'm going to make my vision such that it motivates me, and my intention is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm gonna recognize that that my behaviors impact other people and how I am, even if it's selfish, even if it's like, I want to be able to feel good about myself. Sheesh, I don't want to keep feeling, you know, lousy. I don't want to keep feeling lousy. That seems, you know, like what's so great about that? Again, the reality is I will keep feeling lousy. I don't want to keep feeling lousy. That's a selfish motivation, but we're all responsible for ourselves. We're all responsible for ourselves, right? I understand that we want to have a grandiose vision to be serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the end of the day, the reality on the ground, we're in the battle ourselves, right? We're gonna feel the pain, you know, if our way of living doesn't change, and we're going to be a benefit. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear, you know, whoever does good is doing good for themselves. Whoever does good is doing good for themselves, and whoever does evil and harm, then it is against their own selves. And finally, Prophet ﷺ says, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ. The best of you is the best of you to their family. Like, there are things that are just part of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Being good, being present for our families is part of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Right? It's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls towards. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls towards. He said, Allah calls to beautiful things. Allah calls for us to be just, have ihsan, to give to those that are close to us, to be giving and generous to those around me. Allah calls to that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls to that. Bismillah. Okay, Fulan, Allah yabarak fikum. Khair inshallah. I know we're making it work here across different time zones. Alhamdulillah. 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 That's beautiful, Anas. I'm going to reflect on that, inshallah, and I'm going to just kind of introduce the next portion here. What we'll have now is, you got the feeling here. What right now we're just envisioning, right? Not envisioning. This isn't about like coming up with this, you know, fancy vision. This is like we mentioned, like you've seen some of us do, putting right in front of our eyes what's going to happen depending on the choices I make between now and 12 months. So if I'm still acting out in 12 months, okay. Now, for some of us, like even that thought is hard to believe. For some of us, we're expecting change to happen. 12 months, that's a decent amount of time. A lot of things can change, you know, right? But it's not going to change by itself, right? It's not. And many of you have already experienced that years passed and things didn't quite change the way that you expected. So it's not going to. But if it so happens that I'm still acting out in 12 months, just how's that going to feel? No judgment. Don't exaggerate. Don't come up with something out of guilt. Don't write something down because you think it's the right answer. Just how are you going to feel? Be honest. Be honest. That's it. That's this entire exercise. That's this entire exercise. So at this point, go ahead and whichever one of these is the most inspiring to you, I will feel, I will not be able to, those around me, wherever you feel you're getting some insight and some inspiration, spend some time on that particular prompt. I won't point you to one of these three, but you pick one that feels most inspiring to you, spend some time on that, inshallah. And I'll give a little bit of quiet time. I'll try if possible, maybe myself or maybe others here can can give some insight on the question that Anas asked. And here's some white space for us. Enjoy it, use it, and then when you're ready this time, go ahead and post. So whenever you're ready with your response to either of those three or multiple of them, go ahead and post. You don't have to wait for the green light. If you're working on either one of those prompts, continue. And one thing to keep in mind, and I want to reiterate this, is this isn't about judgment, not about judgment whatsoever. But part of your reality 12 months from now, if we're being honest, is if right now I don't like myself, then 12 months from now I might still not like myself, right? So recognizing that, but not, but not inventing that. Exaggerating never got us anywhere, right? Exaggerating our commitment never got us anywhere. Trying to force a reality, such that trying to force reality never got us anywhere. Never got us anywhere. Sometimes we'll do it so we feel good about ourselves. Like if I put myself down, then I feel better about myself that I'm putting myself down. But again, never got us anywhere. We're here to uplift ourselves. We're here to take our plane and take off. And then with that, I do want to touch upon what was a really, I think, beautiful, insightful question that relates to what was brought up earlier. What does it mean to leave sins for the sake of Allah? For the sake of Allah. And when I read that, I just wonder, if that's coming from a place that, look, we're here setting our motivation, we're here setting our intentions, we're here trying to create a vision. Shouldn't, my intention to leave sins be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Shouldn't that be enough? Shouldn't it be that simple? And, if it happens that we're having thoughts like that, I would just respond by saying, sure, it'd be nice. Was it, like, did I leave sins for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When I didn't engage in the process of connecting with reality, and I just said, this is simple, just leave it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did I feel energized? Did I feel motivated? And did I leave the sin? Did I leave the sin? Did I pass up opportunities that could have led to actually changing in the name of making my change sincere? Am I indulging in the sin continually under the guise of I need my repentance to be, I need my stopping to be this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Until then I won't stop. Is there something that's stopping me from stopping the sin? And no matter how beautified that thing is that's stopping me from leaving the sin, that which is stopping me from leaving the sin is shaitan. Because the way that we know that a thought or an idea is from shaitan is based on its consequences. This is something that a teacher of mine shared. The way that we know that a thought is from shaitan is based on its consequences. So if a thought, its consequence is that I'm still sinning, then that thought is from shaitan, no matter how beautified it is, no matter how beautified or seemingly sincere it is. So do this based on the consequences of it. If this is going to help you stop, then engage in it. Engage in it fully. Engage in it fully. Engage in it fully. And that is in bi'idhnillah ta'ala for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you're done with this, when those 12 months come, you made a strong vision. If it didn't happen today, you're committed, like, I need to come back to this. I need clarity on this. I need to be able to take off. I need this plane to take off, right? And then those 12 months come. And what you envisioned, you're actually seeing it in front of you. You're actually seeing it in front of you. That is a tremendous opportunity for gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is a tremendous opportunity to see Allah's role in your life, to be a person of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be a person of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm going to share one more thing about doing this for Allah and with Allah. It's mentioned that the word Bismillah has multiple meanings that include with Allah. So Bismillah means for Allah, but it also means with Allah, with the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by Allah. Imagine that you're engaging in this, knowing that the power is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you are doing it Bismillah. Then you are doing it Bismillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is present in our hearts, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So move forward with full force. Don't let anything hold you back from engaging in this and coming up with clarity, having clarity, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So you got to play around with not play around, but really engage in, if I, what things are going to look like if I stay clean for 12 months, what things are going to look like if I'm still acting out for 12 months. And I noticed one individual said, well, that really does penetrate my heart. Great. Make it penetrate your heart. Keep it right in front of your eyes. What you came up with today, this commitment. Again, if it's not, well, I do notice some work came in, so I'd love to check those out as well. Wow, that's very specific. I wouldn't allow myself to accept offer to lead other brothers in salah. I love it. I love it. That's what's going to look like 12 months from now. Do I want that? Khalas. Right? There's no judgment in that, but that's reality. I wouldn't be able to have a successful marriage. Yep. You got it. No judgment in that, but it is reality. And it's important to come to terms with that. Still see my hypocritical face, see me as a guy with no ambition, no structure in life, not be able to see the best of a productive me, contributing much to society. Okay, that's how that's what's going to happen to the people around me. Right? That's what's going to happen. Just coming to terms with that. And you don't want that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support you. But keep connected. Keep connected to this. What you came up with so far, as best as you can, as best as you're able to come up with it, borrow from others so it's complete. Come back to this Padlet, or better yet, compile it. You could compile it in the same PDF, over here. That's over your plan guide. You can open that up and compile your thoughts there. You can just do it on paper. For some of us, it's nicer just to have it on paper, journal it out. And this is something to come back to every single day. The purpose of this, she should have mentioned this more clearly at the beginning. The purpose of this is that healing, if there's something important in my life, it has to be important, it has to stay important, and it has to be my number one priority. And for somebody in recovery, I say this loud and clear without hesitation, your number one priority is sobriety and healing. Loud and clear, without any hesitation, your number one priority in life is healing and is sobriety and healing. Is sobriety and healing. Right? And the purpose of this is to keep that number one priority. If ever it takes number two, you've already experienced it before. If ever it falls down the list of priorities, it's going to go out the window. It's going to go out the window. And those 12 months that you're envisioning, right? What could happen in those 12 months, if things change, it's not going to happen. And what would happen, the way those 12 months later would look like, is that is going to come to happen. It is going to come. So the purpose of this is to keep it as number one priority. So as far as a commitment leaving here today, what you came up with, make it nice, make it compiled, make it somewhere accessible. And realistically, that has to be read every single day. It has to be returned to every single day. Yes, that means even after a week of sobriety, I'm still reading that. Yes, after a month of sobriety, I'm still reading that, right? At the end of the document, there are common pitfalls. So among them is like after a month of sobriety, it feels like things are good. We start to let our guard down, right? Nope, this has to stay number one priority until further notice. This has to stay my focus until further notice. This is how it works. Just how it works. Once it's time for your focus and your energy to be directed, Allah will guide you to where your energy and your focus needs to be. Where your energy and your focus needs to be. Right now, leaving sin is number one priority. Number one priority, right? If we're going to talk about doing something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have to leave. We're thinking about tahajjud. We're thinking about tahajjud. We're thinking about, standing long nights like the Prophet ﷺ. Right? Your first job, my first job, is to leave sin. That's our first job. That's our first job. This helps us see that it is our first job, and revisiting this every single day. Number two, second thing I want to share as well, the purpose of this first step. Out of this planning process, today we focus just on the first step. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that because it's so important. Is if you know that something is your number one priority in life and you feel it and it penetrates your heart and you're able to go back and penetrate your heart every single morning when you wake up, such that you can reach the end of the day still saying, yep, that's my number one priority. Yep. Things are weird today. I had all these weird, social interactions. Work was weird. Things were weird at home. I ate weird. I slept weird. Everything was weird. But my number one priority, I need to get to bed tonight without acting up. That's what this is for. And I want to couple that with one thing. If something is your number one priority, make dua for it after every single salah 5 times a day. That should be part of your regimen. Make dua for it very clearly, right? One person shared with me, the recovery community, his dua is, oh Allah, thank you for helping me to make it so far today without acting out. Help me to make it the rest of today without acting out. If you want to add to that the rest of the week, the rest of the month, the rest of the year, and make dua after every salah. If something is important, then it deserves that at the very least. At the very least. On the rest of this Padlet, there are the other prompts that are part of the document, and the document is here as well. Bi-idhnillah ta'ala. I'm going to follow up with you guys on the forums, and I'm going to ask this question, just giving you a heads up. I'm going to ask whether on our next office hour, it would be helpful and meaningful for us to continue working through our plan, because we only did step 1 out of 5 steps today. But I love it. If you engage in it, it's awesome because it's so valuable. And in my opinion, it is like without it, forget about the other steps, right? They're all important, but without this one, forget about the other ones. So on the forums, I'll follow up and I'll ask whether we should continue working on these steps. And if so, we'll come back together and we'll look at the next steps next time. It is time for us to get going. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from everybody and bless everybody. We're all set for today. If you happen to have a question or something, just let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next time and I'll check in with you all on the forum, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.